What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode, another unfortunate episode of Luttie's Look Back. My name is not, unfortunately, Nick Luttrell. I am very proud to be hosting this show, and it's always exciting to get to talk Arkansas sports for the most part, but we got to talk about what we got to talk about, and that's starting with Arkansas football. Man, only like a month left of talking about football, leading the show with football. Soon enough, we'll be talking basketball, and we will talk basketball a little bit later in the show, but first we start with Arkansas football, a 38-35 loss to Mississippi State. It seemed like they had it in their hands and they just gave it away. And how often have we seen that? We've talked about it on my show every single week, that they're finding new ways to lose. So I can't start with that as my three big things. I'm starting with other things because there were other reasons why they were in the game, other reasons that they lost the game. The first of my three big things, it's penalties. If you watched this game, you saw how atrocious the penalties were, and I'll get to that in a second, but a new school record, but it's not a good one. My second big thing is the resilient effort from the Arkansas defense. Really, a good effort from them. They kept them in the game. They lost them the game at the same time a little bit, but they also kept them in the game, which should be celebrated for the most part. And then my third big thing, after we hear from Coach Petrino, burn it all down, start over. That's what a lot of people are saying right now. Are we just giving up on this entire athletic program and saying goodbye to everybody and let's start it back anew? Maybe. Let's go back up to my first big thing, talk specifics, unfortunately, for this game. If you don't want to talk specifics, you can fast forward probably about 6 minutes from now when I'll talk big picture things. But specifically penalties, right? It was an issue. And I know watching this game, two things can be true. And I haven't gone back. I didn't watch the broadcast. I was field level the entire time. And so I'm only watching from the small monitor of my camera where the ball is going. So half the penalties, I'm not looking for that holding penalty being called. I can see some of the other ones. I can see Petrino yelling at the ref and saying some choice words for like 10 minutes, that a flag being thrown on that. Some others I didn't see. But when you have a team that is penalized, and I'm going to take two different sides here because I think two sides have to be taken, and I don't think either one of them is the correct side, an extreme side. One of the sides is it was a ref show. Mississippi State was paying the refs. They were out to get Arkansas. They were out to get Bobby Petrino. It was all the refs' fault that Arkansas lost. The other side is Arkansas did this to themselves. They're an undisciplined football team. And I'm saying it's a little bit of both. As you kind of know me, if you've watched this show, I'm a little bit moderate in just how I feel. I'm always going to take a little bit from here and a little bit from here and put it together into my own interpretation, which is, yes, the refs might have been out to get Arkansas a little bit in this game. Should they have been penalized 18 times? Probably not. And Mississippi State only penalized 3 or 4 times? Are you kidding me? That should never happen in a football game. If you're going to throw a lot of flags, then be specific and not only throw flags on Arkansas. Sure, you want to call every single thing that could be a holding call on the Razorbacks, that's fine, but do it both sides. Call it both ways. We talk about that in basketball more than anything. If you're going to call it physical on one end, call it physical on the other end. And it just didn't seem to be the case for this referee crew on Saturday afternoon in Fayetteville. It just seemed like they were out to get Arkansas in some of their penalties. And now, in most of them, I'm not going to disagree and say Arkansas shouldn't have been penalized if they did something illegal, which they did a lot of the times. That's why you get a flag thrown. But again, there's no way Mississippi State only did 4 or 5 illegal things throughout the game, and Arkansas had 18 of them. 18 for 193 yards. That set a school record. Both of those were school records. And so the flip side of this is looking at it like, yeah, this team needs to be more disciplined. They need to not get so down and discouraged when they're losing the game or when they do get a penalty. It was just they got a penalty and that kind of made them more angry, made one guy in particular a little bit more angry, and so he got a penalty. Just one thing after another, and suddenly you're just blaming it on penalties. You're not taking the blame for yourself and saying, hey, we need to be better. And that was my problem with Coach Petrino in the post-game press conference is you could tell he wanted to say something about SEC officiating, but he didn't want to get fined. That's fine. You can do that a little bit, but also take the blame for yourself. Take the blame for the team that I know you inherited, a really bad football team, but take the blame for it. And think about how you can do better for your team. And maybe he is, but he didn't express that outwardly in the press conference, which as a media member I had a little bit of a problem with. But that aside, Arkansas obviously has to improve in this regard. It's a new school record, but it's not a school record that you ever want to have again, and hopefully a school record that will stand forever, that will never get broken again. That'd be good, right? My second big thing is talking about this defensive side of things for the Razorbacks. First of all, Quincy Rhodes, hats off to you. Like, bravo. Like, standing applause to Quincy Rhodes, the North Little Rock native, had a really good game. Multiple tackles for loss, multiple sackles, multiple sacks, a strip sack where the ball came loose. I mean, Mississippi State's quarterback was not healthy in this game pretty early on, and it was because of the pressure that Arkansas's D-line, that Arkansas's linebackers got to Mississippi State's quarterback, Blake Shapen. They got him hurt, got him out of the game, and the backup came and actually hurt Arkansas more in some ways. So it was just frustrating that Arkansas defense played a good game, especially when you look at where this defense was at early on in the season. Like, who would have thought I'd be saying that the Arkansas defense kept Arkansas in this game? And like, if I said that a few weeks ago, you wouldn't have believed me. You would believe me if I said Arkansas defense also kind of lost them this game. That's why it's just so confusing. It's so frustrating. It's so challenging to think about because it's just two-sided, and it just felt like Arkansas should have won this game. They seemed like the better team. Obviously, discipline issues were there, but they were the better team. They played like it for most of the game. They were winning by double digits like they often have this season, and then they just lose it in the end. And it wasn't a big turnover. It was just they lose it in the end. It's just, again, another new way to lose a football game. So those are some of my thoughts from the train wreck that the Arkansas football team is right now. Let's hear from the guy conducting that train, interim head coach Bobby Petrino.
I felt like we were going to win the game the entire time. I felt like our players felt it. We competed hard. We had some issues there in the third quarter that really hurt us. One of them was on me. I didn't really say a whole lot to get it called, but I did get it called, so that's on me, and that's not a good job. So, but it was hard. Our guys were competing extremely hard out there, and some things didn't go their way.
All right, let's talk big picture now. Is it time to burn it all down and start over? That's the question that I posed to you, that you guys have posed to me, that is being talked about on social media. Is it just time to give up on the whole experiment of a football program? Not the entire experiment, but we're not just burning it down and saying we're giving up on Arkansas football forever. It's burning it down and starting anew, raising it back up to something different. Obviously, I mean that in a rhetorical sense, not in like an actual. I'm not saying let's light fire to Razorback Stadium, although some fans might be ready to do that. 7 losses in a row would make you do that when you're a diehard fan. That's great. I love diehard fans. Be careful with that, but don't want to do that. But in a general sense, in a non-literal sense, is it time to start things over? And I think it might be. Now, I've been against this for a while, of saying that it's just like, let's just fire everybody. But when you just perform consistently at this level, when you consistently lose football games, and someone to me said the other day that this is worse than the Chad Morris era. In my opinion, I don't think it is. Their take was it's worse than the Chad Morris era because the Chad Morris era, they had young playmakers. And that ended up turning out to be a good team 2 years later in 2021 when Arkansas won 9 games. Some of them were still on that team. The reason why I think the football program is in better hands than that Chad Morris era, one, the transfer portal and the new era of college sports, as disappointing as this is, and as much of a train wreck as this program seems to be in, because of the new era of the transfer portal, Arkansas can come back next year and have a good season. It can happen. Now, they got to go out and get a head coach that can do that, but it's more possible than it was 10 years ago. because you don't have to develop these freshmen, get them ready. You can just go grab anybody you want out of the transfer portal. That wasn't a thing 10 years ago. That wasn't a thing 7 years ago or whatever in the Chad Morris era. So I think the team is better off. I think this team is better than that team was. Even if they lose every single game the rest of the year, these next 3 games, I think this year's team is better than the Chad Morris's teams. And I think there's more potential with the program. Now, there's a lot of speculation. Should the guy who not only runs Arkansas's football program, that's Sam Pittman, he's out. Petrino, probably out at this point, most likely. But the question becomes, should the athletic director be out? Hunter Yurachek. Most people say yes. And I understand, because you're defined as an athletic director in the SEC by the way that your football team plays and if your football team wins games. And you're also defined by who you hired. He hired Sam Pittman. That was a failed experiment after 6 or 7 years, and it was a failed experiment after a couple of years, probably. The reality is there's other programs within Arkansas's athletic department that are doing really well right now. And I know you don't want to hear that, but basketball is really good. Baseball is really good. Softball, of course, track and field is always good. Soccer is one of the best teams in the country. Volleyball is terrible. Women's basketball is terrible. So there's a few bad ones. But as an athletic department, they have good teams. And there's so many other factors that go into being a good athletic director, I'm sure, that I don't even know about. But me personally, I'm not fully ready, and I kind of talked myself off this ledge now of like burning everything and starting over. Now, I think you fire everybody on the coaching staff, but I think you keep Yurachek around. I think he should be the one to make this next hire for head coach. And then after a few years, if it doesn't work, then I'm okay with letting Yurachek go. I'd be ready for him to leave at that point. At this point, I'm not. And I know he's been here for a while. And I know his biggest hire is Sam Pittman, and it didn't work out. But I think at this point, it's best for Arkansas's football program for Hunter Yurachek to pick the next head coach. So we'll see. There's a lot to cover there. That's big picture things. If you're an A-State fan and you're sticking around, well, thanks for staying with me. Let's talk Red Wolves. Arkansas State beating Troy over the weekend 21-10. The Red Wolves were 7-point underdogs in this one. Troy was previously unbeaten in the Sun Belt Conference, so give credit to A-State going down to Alabama, getting a big-time win, especially a big defensive win. At the beginning of the year, there was a lot of concern for the defensive side of the ball. They were horrible last year on defense, and they're much better this season, especially these last few games. They've really impressed me and really impressed me in this game. To beat a good Troy team, to hold them to 10 points, and to sack them 9 times for the Arkansas State defense. That is, I think, 1 or 2 sacks away from a school record. That's the school record that you want to get close to. Not penalty yardage, Razorbacks. Sacks. 9 of them for the Red Wolves defense on Saturday in a win over the Trojans. Jalen Rayner played pretty good as well. He didn't run the ball as much as he normally did, didn't have success in that area. A-State as a whole didn't have success in that area, but it was because passing efficiency, their passing offense was so good. 21 of 29 was Rayner, 247, 2 touchdowns. He played a really good game. I got to give a shout out to Kloon Van Andel as well. Their kicker made multiple kicks in the first half to kind of give them the edge that they needed and give them really the win that they needed in this game. But all around, a good win for A-State. They have won 4 in a row. Those are some of my thoughts. Let's hear from the head coach, Butch Jones.
I tell you what, we are disruptive just by getting off the bus. Can't say enough about our front 7. Anytime you create 9 sacks, and they took the challenge. Coming into the game, it was kind of a flip the script. Troy was leading the Sun Belt in sacks. You can't say enough, our offensive line did not give up any sacks. Our defensive line was pressure-oriented. We were able to win one-on-one matchups. And, the volume of negative yardage plays that creates and puts you ahead of the sticks defensively. And just really proud of our overall team, our effort, our mentality, our toughness to come win a road game. In the Sun Belt's a challenge, but to do it at Troy as well is even that much more monumental for us.
So once again, after starting out the season 1-5, losing 4 games in a row, they've now won four games in a row as a state. They've got a big game coming up Saturday against Southern Miss. 11 a.m. is that game. Southern Miss, top of the conference in the Sun Belt. All right, that's A-State. Let's go to UCA. No bueno for them over the weekend. 34-13 loss to a average to not good Eastern Kentucky team. UCA on the flip side, A-State, they were favored to win by a touchdown. A-State was favored to lose by a touchdown. UCA was favored to win by a touchdown, but you can obviously see they didn't do that, and they did not play well in this game. They started up. They were up 10-7 in the first quarter. It was looking okay, but really defensive effort was defensive play was an issue in this game, and then offense wasn't much better. You see some of the offensive stats behind me. Austin Myers, not as efficient and playmaker-esque as we've seen in the past, especially these past few weeks as he's had some good games, especially 2 weeks ago when they had the win on the road. 2 interceptions for him. Another guy had an interception. I think it was a trick play from the wide receiver. Landon Chambers, they continue to feed him. His runs per carry or his rushing yards per carry isn't incredible, but they feed him. He's got another game over 100 yards. He's gonna break. They've had a lot of really good running backs, especially with Derek Powell and Darius Hale the last few seasons, minus this year. But some great performances out of him this season. Over 100 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. Malachi Henry, 3 receptions, 76 yards. The big issue for UCA, as I mentioned, both sides of the ball not playing to the potential that you want to play, especially at this point in the season when you saw them progress and now you're seeing them digress a little bit. But their final 4 drives of this game to maybe keep it closer, do something. Interception, turnover on downs, and then punt. So not the way you want to end a football game. Those were their only 4 drives of the second half. So as you can see, EKU controlling time of possession as well. Let's hear from UCA's head coach Nathan Brown after the game.
I thought we stuck with them pretty good in the first half. I thought we played, we had a good game plan. We came out, got some momentum. We got 3 on the first drive, which we got 7 out of that, and then they obviously answered, but we answered right back. And so, we did a lot of good things early on. Never could get some timely stops on defense in some certain spots. That felt like they held on the ball, had some long sustained drives. And just you could never get the momentum back defensively, and so that was a tough deal. But we've got to have some guys at certain spots step up. That's what we're lacking right now. Is certain areas. We're growing some young, talented kids, but they're just, it's not happening overnight.
Yeah, just 3 or 4 games left now for UCA. All right, finally, of our Division I football teams, UAPB getting the win over the weekend, 40-21 over Southern. Granted, it's a Jaguars team that is very bad in the SWAC. They've only had, I think, 1 win the entire season, no wins in their conference. But UAPB, a home game, really dominating this game more than the score shows, more than the 21 points that the 19 points, that they won by. Christian Peters, Jalen Jennings, Ellis Stewart, that kind of the trio that they have there with Peters as quarterback, Jennings running back, Stewart wide receiver, all played well in this game. Defense played really well. They only had, other than 1 drive, really good in the first half. They maybe didn't have as good as statistically a second half in this game against Southern, but it was when the game was already out of reach. I think they were up multiple touchdowns when the defense gave up a couple more there to end the game. But I'm not going to say that. I'm never going to sit here and probably say that UAPB has a terrific football team, but to win 2 conference games already this season, to be 3-5 on the year, again, heading in the right direction. Let's take it with a grain of salt. Let's keep moving in the right direction. So UAPB getting the win there over Southern. A challenge ahead, though. I mean, they've played some of the easier teams, of course, with their wins against Southern and Alcorn State, I believe. And now 2 of their last 3 games are against two of the top 2 teams in their conference in Alabama State and Prairie View A&M. So if UAPB wants to say that, hey, we're actually a team that can compete in this conference, they would upset one of those teams, or at least keep it close with one of those two teams the last few weeks of the season. All right, that's enough Division I football talk. Let's go to Division II, to the GAC ranks. Let's take a look at the standings. You can see it heading into the final few weeks of the season. Harding, obviously a top 2 team in the entire country, is the number 1 team in the GAC, and they have already won the GAC with their win, and with, I think it was, I can't remember who lost. Let me skim it real quick. Southern Arkansas's loss on Saturday. Harding wins the GAC, and obviously wins a pretty big one against Oklahoma Baptist. You see some of those other scores there that have made it a 4-way tie, I believe, for second place. Maybe even a 5-way tie. I don't think I included East Central, who is one of the Oklahoma teams. I just included Arkansas teams on here. But Henderson State, OBU, SAU, Arkansas Tech, all tied for second place in the GAC. A lot to be shuffled out in the final few weeks of the season. And of course, the big thing that will happen, not this upcoming Saturday, but the next Saturday, the Battle of the Ravine, Henderson State and OBU. There's speculation that College Game Day might be there. I don't know if these two teams were top 25 in the country, or if they were fighting for a GAC title. I can see it, and I'm not saying Game Day shouldn't go. I'm just saying I don't know if it'll actually happen. As of now, I'd give them a slight lean to OBU just of what's happened recently, and especially Henderson State kind of surviving Southeastern Oklahoma State with a 1-point win on Saturday. You see some of the other scores there. SAU losing to East Central, so they kind of fell back a little bit after, I think, being in sole possession of second place. It's really anybody's game who will finish in the final few placements of the GAC standings for this season. That is Division II football talk. Let's go back to the high school football ranks. A lot to decide going forward for Arkansas high school football. A lot of conference title implications happening this weekend, or happened last weekend, and will definitely happen this weekend. I'll go over them pretty quickly with you guys. Let's go through the scores first from last week. Bryant and Conway both getting wins over LRCA and North Little Rock. Of course, they'll face off for the 7A Central title on Friday night. Sylvan Hills putting up another 80 points on Sheridan. I feel like this is the 3rd or 4th time Sheridan's had 80 points put up on them. It's just the way that they play football, especially the way that Coach Kelly coaches football. 84-48 over Sheridan. The Bears just need to win one more, and even if they lose, it's a possibility that they'll still win their conference, but the magic number down to 1 for Sylvan Hills. Meanwhile, in the 5A Central, Jacksonville getting the win over Whitehall, 49-8. It was the most points that the Titans have scored in school history. Tough look for Whitehall, just one win this season. Searcy and Maumelle, how about the Lions roaring to a 47-40 win over Maumelle? A lot of chaos going on in the 5A Central. Searcy, Maumelle, Robinson. If Robinson can beat Maumelle Friday night, they will be crowned champions of the 5A Central. If not, there will be a lot of chaos. All right, so the 5A South now. Hot Springs getting the win over Camden Fairview. Parkview getting the win over Hot Springs Lakeside. Same thing in the 5A South. Hot Springs Lakeside, Hot Springs, Little Rock, Parkview, all could end up winning the conference title at in some form or fashion. Hot Springs will play at Lakeside this Friday night. If the Trojans can win that, they will win the conference championship. If not, chaos, just like the 5A Central. Okay, let's go to the middle of your screen now into the 4A level. CAC and Mills taking down CAC. They will play Lonoke on Friday for the conference championship in the 4A2. In the 4A7, Nashville looking like a team to beat there, especially after beating Arkadelphia earlier on in the season. They just need one win to win the 4A7. They're pretty much in control of winning that conference title. Meanwhile, in the 3A2, Salem is in control, one of the top teams in the 3A, and their defense showed it on Friday night, getting the win 12-7 over Mayflower. Mayflower will still be all right. We'll see what happens in the final week of the season. And Smackover dominating Prescott. This game a lot more of a blowout than I thought it would be. Ryzen and Fordyce. Fordyce getting the win there by a touchdown. Hector and Conway Christian. Conway Christian just continues to kind of go downhill a little bit after a state title last season. They lose to Hector 32-12. And then Carlisle beating England and Bearden falling to Poen. So a lot to decide there also in the Class 2A ranks. finally we go to my Lutties look ahead. Actually, one more thing before that is conference title implications. I kind of mentioned it there, but three that we'll definitely be looking at for this upcoming Friday night. We talked Bryant and we talked Conway in the 7A Central, the 4A2 Mills and Lonoke, and the 4A8 Stuttgart and Hamburg facing off. Obviously a lot of other big matchups, but those are the three I know for certain that whoever wins those matchups will win their respective conferences. Okay, I think now it's time to move on to the final thing of my Lutties Look Back show, which is my Lutties Look Ahead. And I know we just looked ahead with high school football. We're going to look ahead with college basketball. Basketball starts, maybe it started yesterday if you're watching this on a Tuesday. Maybe it starts today if you're watching it on a Monday. But Monday and Tuesday of this week, we got basketball all around the state. All of our college teams playing, including the Razorbacks Monday night at 6 at home against Southern. Little Rock men's basketball Tuesday night against Arkansas Baptist. Arkansas women's basketball also Tuesday. And then all our other teams, both A-State men's and women's and UCA men's and women's teams playing Monday night. A big one to look out for. That what should be fun, even though UNC will probably dominate, is UNC playing UCA, North Carolina facing off against Central Arkansas. That game in Chapel Hill, so we'll see if UCA can keep up with UNC, a team that is the number 25 ranked team in the country. Also, Arkansas football, don't have to worry about them. They've got a bye this week, so don't have to worry about them as far as looking ahead. Arkansas soccer, meanwhile, the number 1 seed in the SEC right now. They won the SEC. They're in the SEC tournament right now. They'll play Tuesday at 4:30 against Mississippi State. And finally, I have to mention Little Rock Wrestling got their season started over the weekend with 2 wins. They'll have a big match coming up Sunday in Oklahoma. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Lutties Look Back. I know it's a struggle to hear me talk about how bad Arkansas football is, but it's my job, and I enjoy it for the most part. I hope you guys enjoy it too. We'll see you same time, same place, right here on Lutties Look Back.